as peacemakers and people who want to have a better world, that is one of the first rules. Never give up. And sooner or later it will happen. In Alsace-Lorraine, where we had all these wars, these divisions between France and Germany, could I have ever dreamt that today the border in my hometown has disappeared? On the 14th of October, 4 years ago, it disappeared. That Robert Schuman, whom we urged to do something for the world, would be canonized by the Pope. I just received a letter that the canonization is practically done, and we are going to have a political saint. What we have in Europe is almost unthinkable, that the borders of the 60 European countries have disappeared. It is almost unthinkable. If when I was young, someone would have told me that this would happen in Alsace-Lorraine, I said, crazy, it's almost impossible. And it was possible. Robert Schuman didn't see it. It took 42 years to get the European Union done. I went to his tomb to report it to him. He didn't see it. And many of the things which we try to do today, we cannot say it didn't work, so I give up. No. You have to let it go its gear. You have to wake up in the morning with the dream of your life. You have to write letters. You have to go on. People cannot understand that at the age of 81, 21 years after leaving the United Nations, I work every day. So this is something which I would recommend to you all. And this conference is going to make miracles.
All right.
When I joined the United Nations, and again that is a whole miracle that I was able to enter the United Nations. When I promised those 20 young Germans who were killed that I would work for peace, and then sitting in a train one day from the University of Strasbourg to home, I had nothing to do, and then I remembered that there was an advertisement that the French Prime Minister would give a prize to the student who would write the best essay, how he would govern the world. So I said, wait a minute, that's a question addressed to you. You want to have a better world, why don't you write to him how you would govern the world? And I wrote it, and to my astonishment, it got the first prize. And the first prize was a position in the United Nations. And we have now a United Nations of 191 countries. A United Nations which will not disappear. A United Nations which has done so many tremendous things. It is incredible what the United Nations have done, but there is still more to do. So that here, I am absolutely excited to be here at this conference, because you are going to say things which I'm going to exploit. I've already written 6,100 ideas for a better world. Because my wife one day in a meeting in Santa Barbara, which I attended, she said, you know, we're the 11th of July 1994, there are 1,000 days left to the 2,000 days left to the year, the 1st of January 2000. If anyone would write down one idea a day, he would reach 2,000 in the year 2000. Is there anyone who will do it? I lifted my finger. And I began the following day. And then she asked me to show her what I wrote. And after a few weeks or months, we got married, and she's 20 years younger than I. So I cannot even get old. She's after me all the time. Write to her, don't give up. Write to this president, etc., etc. So that I'm 6,100 ideas. As a matter of fact, I brought a model of the ideas which I will give to some people here. My advice to you is exactly the same. Every day, In any circumstance where you have an idea, write it down. If you do not write it down, a couple of hours later you might have forgotten it. And you have invisible forces helping you. We call it coincidences. They're not coincidences. They are secret forces, invisible forces are looking around. The soul of St. Francis must be floating around saying, whom could I help down there? So please, believe in who you are. Believe that you can change the world, and we will change the world. I was told that there would be a war when I joined United Nations. We haven't had a war. So we live on a beautiful planet. My latest book is called Paradise Earth. I do not want to accept anything except to make out of this planet a miraculous paradise in the universe, and to have a happy, wonderful human beings population. Please do it, and you will be surprised by the help and the joy you will get. I'm 81 years old. I've decided not to die before 100. And that you will see in the book. Thank you very much.
Alone would lead to peaceful ends. Thank you very much. Global situation where we threaten to annihilate
Make it more democratic, abolish the veto, and involve the people.
Democratic institutions. Unquote. Now, today, international human rights is a body because one of its core principles is economic and social justice.
So, I want to start first with Yasmina Boyage. Yes, it is with great honor, respect, and humility that I bring to the stage our keynote speaker. He was the Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations under 3 Secretary Generals. I don't think anyone else has that notoriety. He is the architect of most of the humanitarian organizations of the United Nations, Chancellor Emeritus of the University for Peace in Costa Rica, and the most inspirational, most empowering, most loving individual on planet Earth. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Robert Muller.
I have indeed invented 13 of the 32 specialized agencies. And just to give you the example that came to my mind when he mentioned the role I had in the UN, is that one day there was a meeting where the Food and Agricultural Organization wanted to have more resources, more money. And then I said to them, but look, why do you consider money to be the resource? I have an idea. Namely, every year the rich countries are burning tons and tons of food, of agricultural products, of wheat and so on, to keep the prices high. Why don't we propose to the rich countries that we would give this rice and corn to the very poor in the world? This is money. Let's try. One thing she doesn't like is that when at 3 o'clock in the morning I shake her. I have new ideas. Because I have to communicate to somebody. He said the world is in a real mess, the worst I have ever seen. For Kofi Annan to have the courage to say this is really something, is a novelty. So that he is now behind the idea that we have to reform the United Nations. I've never attended a conference where all the people were speaking were experts, were the best in their field, and where there is one thing which is incredible among them and you, even at advanced ages, it is the enthusiasm. I have not heard a single person here who is not enthusiastic, who is not devoted, who speaks with heart and with warmth about what they try to achieve. They are enthusiastic, which means in Latin and in Greek, entheos, to have God in you. You have all God in you to prepare this world which was just sung a few minutes ago. This is the most beautiful planet in the universe. It is the only one which has had life. Things have to be happened. The water, the distance from the sun. It's incredible. And that's why we're the only planet. And instead of making it the miracle in the world, we have wars. We have militaries. We have the most idiotic things you can imagine. We have to eradicate it. I have already arranged that when I die, and I do not want to die before having reached 100. I do every effort. No drinking, no alcohol, no smoking, no women. Oh, I'm sorry. So that I get to 100. And I'm arranging that when I'm dying, I'm going to be in a tomb, and I'm going to have a whole series of speeches, and you put 25 cents and you're going to hear with ideas. Please come up. And since I make a little speech, I will, as usual, also take a little ode to joy for you, because really we have to make the ode to joy of Beethoven and the words of Schiller, where all humans, man and woman, will become one great family. So.
Our planet is truly blessed on the day that Robert Muller was born. And we
By
still
the way, the second biggest name on earth with Muller, Molinari, Melnikov, and so on, where you're totally unknown, I become an absolutely unique Muller. Namely, in my hometown of Sarreguemines, I have become UN Muller, ONU Muller. So I'm ONU Muller.
And we're sure of at least another 20 years, right? At least.
Yeah, 100, yeah.
Today is that very special day, the day that birth was given to our world organization. And although it has problems, although it needs to be reformed, imagine for one moment this world without that organization. This world would not have survived. There would have been a third world war. It's obvious. But because of this organization, that didn't happen.
And we all have something in common, and I think it's called planet Earth.
I would also like to thank you.
Last trip to New York, when I brought this subject to some of his...